I've already taken the still photos and just looking for cosmetic imperfections or any issues, whether it be cosmetic or structural. I also took photos with an emphasis on the door panel gaps and hood and trunk gaps as well, because I still analyze that when I get back to the office to check for structural correctness. But let's go and dial in. I'm standing about 8 feet away now, so this is the way the vehicle presents itself. And I know the sun is kind of glaring right now, so that's not helping out. But just starting off with the front bumper area, I always like to just give it a couple little taps, right? Make sure everything is nicely secured. Okay, good. I hit it with the duster, that little red remnants that you see right now. That's from me just kind of just dusting it off prior to me getting started. I always like to make sure that the surface is as clean as possible, so that way I can check for the slightest of imperfections, if any. Right here is just a little scuff mark there on the bumper. Looking at the lenses here, they look like they're in good shape. Don't see any signs of cloudiness, chips, or cracks. Right, let's start dialing in here. Good, badge work good. Chrome is in good shape. Again, lens looks good. Looking at the hood, we'll start getting some readings. 6. This paint meter here reads in the mils, so that's 7.5 mils, and we got 6. And what we're looking for is just consistency, right? We're not looking for dead exact numbers, but somewhere within range. Just a really light scratch here. Something like that can probably be rubbed out. I didn't even see it the first time around. This is why I do like 2 or 3 passes, because sometimes I won't catch something where the lighting changes. And so that's why I always have this no rush policy, because I like to try to capture as much as I can. Left fender, 5.5. 5. So I'm seeing some consistency there. If we get a specific reading, that's 5 of 19.7. That's an indication of body filler. And then, of course, if we get like 12 or 14 mils, then that's pretty obvious that there's been repaint there. Also looking at the windshield. Just wiping it down real quick. See, the dust is already collecting quickly here because we're close to the freeway. But I don't see any obvious chips or cracks or signs of delamination. Right. Also, while I'm here, I capture the public VIN. I'll get that number, and I also take a look at the dash as well. Just checking for any cosmetic blemishes or any defects in workmanship or materials as a result of the build. Just a quick look at the roof line here, and then pushing back here. Looking at the left front wheel well area, I always like to check this because sometimes the wheels will kick up debris or anything, right, and can damage the inner wheel well. So it gives me a chance to look at the strut assembly, the lines, and check for leakage. I just try to capture as many different angles as possible, and I still have to review this as well. Looking at the left front wheel, it's a Michelin Pilot Sport All Season 3 AS3. The date of manufacture that is 44th week of 2017. So fairly new rubber in regards to the tires. And then there's a tire size here somewhere, 275/50 R19s. While I'm down here, I always like to get a side view of the panels. This is kind of like the best way to look at them, because if you look at them straight on, sometimes you won't see any of the dings or dents or waviness, right? So again, I'll be reviewing this later. Looking at the outside mirror, sometimes those get beat up and scratched, so I like to look at those carefully as well. Moving on. All right, looking at the roof here, let's get this section here. 5.5, 5, and 5. Glass looks like it's nice and flush with the panel. All right, then I'll be checking the operation later when I do the interior. Glass on the driver's side looks good. Outside mirrors, nice. Let's get some door readings. 4.5 and 5.5. So far looking pretty good. I always like to check this little pocket area here because with long fingernails they can easily scratch the paint there. I just see some minor little scuffs there, but something like that can be detailed out. Shouldn't be an issue there, and it's not too bad. I've seen a lot worse. Looking at the left rear door, again, glass looks good. Don't see any signs of chips. I'll have to, when I roll down the windows, I'll check the edges as well, make sure they're not chipped. 5 and 4. Okay, it looks decent. Curtains there, all there. Let's get the roof. 5.5, 5.5. Okay, let's get the seat pillar here. 4.5. Looking pretty good. 4.5. The left rear wheel area. All right. And tire doesn't look like they have any damage. 2017 is the same year, but it's on the 30. It's like the 30th week or 39th week of that year. Okay, 275/50 R13s. A little bit of a curb rash there on the sides. Not too bad, and then some more scratch marks right there. Okay. Do another side panel view. Looking at the top, sides, and then making our way down. I'll just kind of mess with the angle a little bit here, so see if anything obvious comes out. Okay, looking at the rear bumper. Lenses look good, don't see any cracks. Cloudiness, good. So, I don't know if that's a little chip right there. And little scratches. Sometimes you expect some stuff here because, this is like, the loading area, per se. I don't think I can get meter readings here. No. Nope. Okay. All right. Here, roof rooftop view, back window, curtains. I'll be still going inside, but again, capturing as many different angles as possible. Okay. And some light scratches there. Here's a little more obvious. And then here. Okay. Lens looks good. 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, good. Okay, right rear wheel. Sorry, hands are a little shaky here. All right, Pilot Sports, 275/50 R19s. And to see the production date on these here. All right, so 41st week of 2017. So good, nice rubber. Okay, a side panel view. Get some door readings on the right rear. 4, 5, good. All right, glass again looks decent. Always like to check these side pillar covers as well. Sometimes they get beat up and scratched. Okay, right door, 4.5. Pocket area looks good. 4.5. 4.5 looking good. Outside mirror, no obvious scratches. Okay, and then a shot of the roof and then the glass. Again, not seeing any obvious chips or cracks or signs of delamination. View of the dash. And let's get the right front fender. 5, 4, 4.5, and 4. Good. Here, just another little blemish right there. 5.5. All right, looks pretty good. It seems to. Oh, let me get the hood on the right side here. 6, 7. Oh, geez. 5.5. So let's just get that reading again. 6. Okay, 6.5. Try that again. 7. All right, so the readings are a little higher here. I don't see no obvious paint work. Just some blemishing here. I don't like to rub the paint too much, even though I just dusted it down. And I'm wearing gloves, but I don't feel like any unevenness or paint prep issues. I can see the glitter in the paint as well. Looks pretty consistent. So, all right. One final view before we move on. Here on this segment of the video, what I like to do is I like to capture the startup. That way you can experience what I am while I'm here doing the inspection. Also, I like to keep the camera on the instrument cluster, because when I go to start the car, we should see all of the warning lights come on. and then they should cycle off as the vehicle does the self-diagnostic. If there's any issues, then obviously the light would stay on. But here we go. I stay quiet during this process here, just so we can hear the starter. All right. Okay. So it started right up. No issues there. It didn't even feel sluggish at all. Let's see here. Let's take a look at some of the gauges here. So I'll have to review the video myself. I was off wandering and I didn't look at the light or the lights, but I'll review it later. Out mileage is 28,463, so 28,463 current miles right now. RPM is floating around 500, maybe 550, probably just shy of 6. All right. And what we'll do at this point now is we're going to walk towards the back of the vehicle, and then we're going to take a look at the exhaust, right? We don't want to see any type of smoke. Blue, black, gray, white, we don't want to see any of that. Condensation is okay, but if there's something else, then there's something going on with the engine or emissions internally. So making our way back to the back of the vehicle. All right. And just a quick look here underneath, and I'm not seeing any signs of smoke coming out. I don't see any excessive soot. Right. And I stayed quiet there for a moment too. Didn't hear any misfires. What I'm talking about when I like to capture as many angles as possible. See, on one of the 2 passes, I didn't even see the scratches right there. So I may have picked up on it when I still do the underside, but I'll just get it right now so that I don't forget. Okay, walking towards the engine bay area. So when we do the engine bay area, before we get into the engine, I'll show you what I check. In addition to just the engine, I take a look at the underside of the hood, right? Because this insulation or sound barrier, I want to make sure that it's intact. But if there's that case where there's rodents nesting in the engine bay area, for whatever reason, they like chewing on that stuff. So that's my first telltale sign. But in addition to that, I'll look around the engine bay. It's pretty tight to begin with, so the view's pretty limited. But I go in there with a light, and I check everything. I try to see if there's any obvious oil leaks, any damage to the components, wiring fraying, and also, again, with the rodents, nesting, or chewed wires, or coolant hoses. They like those as well. Battery here in place. Looks like it's dated 4/17. I've already checked the excuse me. I've already checked the coolant. Didn't see any signs of cross-contamination, and looks like all the fluid levels are at its proper level. Hoses felt nice and rubbery, right? Not too stiff. I got a good shot of the engine belt there when it wasn't running. Just checking for any obvious signs of cracks or premature wear, which looked okay. I also removed the oil filler cap because I like to look at the condition or the color of the components to see if they're stained or not. So the color looked normal, right? If there's times where I see where the oils never change and it's like black tar, and then they'll try to clean the dipstick to try to trick the potential buyer, but it's hard to do that. Again, checking all the fluids here and kind of getting in there nice and tight within the areas. Didn't see any signs of front impact damage. Pulleys look good. I don't see any wobbling. Right, and then I'll stay quiet here for just a couple of seconds here. All right, the reason for my silence is I just want to demonstrate that I don't hear any abnormal noises coming from the bottom or the top end of the vehicle. The only thing I do hear is this normal belt noise and injectors. Just capturing the front condenser area as well. Looks pretty clean. Not even any impact damage there. So it looks like it's all in order. Let's get a final look at the gauges here. All right, so RPM, this looks like it's still floating up above 500. Temperature is at around half. And what I do at this point, even though I'll be shutting down the video, I'm going to close the hood, right? And then I'm going to let the vehicle idle for about 10 or 15 minutes. One, that way I can get the engine properly warmed up. Two, that'll heat soak the front suspension. So, maybe get the bushings a little softer. So if there's anything that's kind of on its way out or weaker than what it should be, hopefully we can pick that up when we're test driving or going over bumps. So that's the other reason why I like to let it run. Plus, I'm not driving this car for 50 or 100 miles. It's pretty limited, maybe 3 to 5 miles, and sometimes we don't even get it up to speed because of the traffic here in the Los Angeles area. So I just try to put as much or do as much as I can while it's still out here. This is a pretty cool feature. Too bad the phone's outdated. So I've been road testing here for about a mile or so. I found this old industrial area with some really long streets, so I'm able to simulate, being on the surface streets without the traffic, without the risk of getting hit by a car, right? So in doing this, I've already reached a speed of over 50 miles an hour, faster than what I can do on the surface streets because there's so much traffic right now. But I didn't feel any shimmy coming from the steering wheel. Braking was dead on. When I let go of the steering wheel, let a car pass real quick. When I let go of the steering wheel while driving, it stays straight, doesn't veer to the left or to the right at all. And then when I apply the brakes, again, it's pretty rock solid. I've already checked all the lights, verified all that. The windshield wipers work, horn blows, AC blows good, heater, all been verified. Seat operation, massage options as well was checked. Let's see here, what else? The wood, great condition, no cosmetic issues with the interior. Sunroof works. The glass was in good shape. Like I mentioned, the faults, I'll have to look at those in detail once I'm back at the office. What else? I'll just note everything. But so far, operationally, this thing is doing well. I'll even goose it a little bit. Yeah, it's just great acceleration. And I'll go ahead and shut down the video because it's starting to get trafficy.